We had planned to start this podcast today, no matter what we had planned to start today. But what a day to start this podcast, because the announcement and the show we've got to talk about today was quite frankly fantastic. Um, yeah, we're gonna get into it. What's up, people? My name's Mekz. I'm a wrestling fan, wrestling enthusiast, WrestleManiac, if you will. And you're watching Revolution Radio. And I have alongside me as a co-host.
Yo, people, it's your boy NK, aka the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, aka the Hood Japanese correspondent, aka the CEO, the president, the commissioner, the TDM. Yeah, man, we've been brainstorming this for a while, man. But yeah, it's good to get this up and running. And yeah, what an episode we have in store for you guys, because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss for sure.
I mean, talk about newsworthy episodes. Like, I even feel like through how we've kind of, laid out the show, some things are going to be missed,
Missed out, yeah.
which really shouldn't be, because, this show it's almost like, and I always use 2021 as like the glory days of AEW, but it was just kind of straight out of that kind of, just segment after segment, match after match, just always, there's always something. Like, how did you feel about the show generally?
I think this is the best show of the year that AEW have done. And I feel like since Revolution, AEW have been slowly picking up momentum. But like this one, just coming off obviously WrestleMania weekend, there's a general buzz for wrestling. And I can't lie, we have to address the elephant in the room. Obviously, there's madness that happened over there in WWE, and kind of that unintentionally put all eyes on AEW, because it's like, okay, stuff's just going on over there, good and bad.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, okay, what's you guys' response? And then fair play to Tony Khan, fair play to everyone involved. They saw the added attention that was on them, and they hit it out of the park, man. What a show, man. Like, what a show.
It's almost as if like WWE kind of fumbling some stuff after WrestleMania, because WrestleMania was relatively good and was taken well by most people. But I guess it's that news that came out after WrestleMania, that it's almost like Tony Khan was there rubbing his hands together, waiting for Wednesday to come, because it's like, yeah, like I've got them now. It's like, if anyone is going to now defect from this product and come back, because it has been shaky. People have been, not so happy with AEW this year so far. Revolution was a high point, despite what came before it. But yeah, people have just been had some questions, should we say. But coming out of this show, Tony Khan, like, he answered hella questions. And yeah, I think whether you're a UK fan, whether you are a US fan, just as a AEW fan, as a wrestling fan, this was it. Like, this is what you want on week to week TV. So yeah, man, we got a lot of good stuff to get into today. If you guys are new to WRESTHINGS, make sure you hit the subscribe button. A lot of content going on up at the minute, as well as this podcast as a new independent podcast on the channel, as well as Indie Takers as well is on the channel if you're into indie wrestling. So that's a podcast you can listen to too. And yeah, hit the like button, man. Let's get into this. So the way our shows are going to be done, we're kind of looking at 4 main segments that we're going to address. And the first segment we're talking about today is the MVP of Dynamite. So, there was quite a few people that could have easily taken this position off this week, because yeah, like we said, the show was absolutely banging. But NK, I'll start with yours. Who's your MVP of Dynamite for this week?
Do you know what? I was hoping you would go first, because I would counter yours, because there's 2 people in mind. And I'm going to
go first. I don't mind going
first. Just go first. Yeah.
Cool. All right then. So my MVP of the week is Tony Khan. Tony Khan, I have been very vocal about huge announcements. And I don't ever feel like these announcements were huge enough to announce them on social media as huge announcements, and then on the night they don't deliver. And just not deliver, not that they were rubbish, they just don't, exceed, expectations. I guess you built it up somewhat too much. And then the second thing is that his huge announcements never seem to be done by him. They always seem to be done by Adam Cole. He was even still present.
He was still there.
Head off when he walked in screen. I said, yes, Tony, you finally got the balls to do it. And Adam Cole walked in and to finish it off. And to be fair, I think now I know why. Because, it is hard to do what we do and kind of deliver news and present and stuff. And if you saw like how the concentration Tony Khan had,
he was nervous, man.
Teleprompter, it's like I need to read this, I need to get it right, and wasn't blinking or anything like that. I said, you know what? Maybe this is why he doesn't do it. And someone like Adam Cole, just talking and all of that stuff just comes supernatural to him. Like, so maybe that is why. Anyway, Tony Khan made the announcement that we are not only getting the UK show, which was promised some months ago, it is going to be the return of the beginning of AEW, the genesis of it, or the idea, that sperm that we have today, All In. So it's AEW All In London, which we knew. So we got the UK show. The part that completely blew me was in Wembley Stadium. When I saw Wembley written there, I thought, oh, Wembley Arena, 20K, good, great stuff. But I saw the picture of the stadium, I saw the arch, I was like, they're going to Wembley. Like, this is, home of football in this country, but like 90,000 people. He has pulled this out of the bag. And I believe Wembley are celebrating 100 years of Wembley or something like that as well. So it's kind of all in tandem. It's Carnival weekend here in the UK, so
which is in the same area as around Wembley. Like, that's like northwest London, where there's a lot gonna be happening there.
Bro, he has absolutely smashed this. This is what I expect when, for a week in advance, you're telling me we're gonna get a huge announcement on the show. This is what I call a huge announcement. And that can be, a big signee or someone joining AEW or whatever the case is as well. But I'm not sure if they've had like a bigger solo announcement than this.
Never.
And like I was saying, that not only is it special because it's for us, it's in London, not only just the UK, it's in London. This is our home grounds, if you like. This is the biggest show AEW have done, full stop. Like, this eclipses everything. I think maybe before this, what's that show they do in New York in September?
Grand Slam.
Grand Slam
is only like,
it's like 25K or something. Yeah, 25K once they put in a set and all of that stuff. Like, and that's the biggest show they would have done. And I know all of their shows sell out ASAP. This is different. This is a different animal altogether. Like, yeah, I'm sure we'll probably talk more about it. What's your initial thoughts on that anyway?
Bro, I was flabbergasted. Like, do you know what? When I heard Wembley, I just assumed arena. It was only when I went into on Twitter, as I was watching, people like Wembley Stadium, and then Adam Cole reinforced Wembley Stadium. I was like, because me and you, and I'm sure the internet have had conversations about, Tony Khan's very conservative when it comes to shows. Like, he'll book an arena. Usually, the usual pattern with AEW shows that he'll book an arena he knows he can sell out.
Yeah.
Now, he'll book a 10,000 here, and obviously coming to London, we had speculated Craven Cottage here and there, and pros and cons of different arena. No, nobody. Even we've had conversations about WWE being afraid to book Wembley. Like, and that's the biggest wrestling company. But we've had conversations about, did WWE have the balls to book Wembley? We don't know. For Tony Khan and AEW's like, it's a big company, but again, for their first ever show, it's not even like London's a market that's been tried and tested, like Chicago or anything. This is London. The first time you're coming to the UK, you're doing Wembley Arena. It might not be 90,000, but it's damn sure going to be 50,000 plus in terms of like how many people they can house. Whether they sell those 50,000 tickets is a different question, but it's going to be the biggest show AEW have done for a while, and it's going to be a show optically that's going to compete visually with WrestleMania in terms of the scope and the scale and just the size of the arena in terms of like visuals. And this is something that AEW have kind of needed to do. So it's not a guarantee that it will go off well, but I have to rate Tony Khan for making that leap, because that's a leap, man. You don't And no small man can, and even business wise, nobody can pull up to Wembley and say, I'm going to book Wembley. Like, you have to,
need some
nobody,
clout.
and obviously he's got a relationship with Fulham, but even as a businessman, as a business move, this is ballsy, man. And I rate it, man. I rate it so highly.
Yeah. Like, this is, like you said, ballsy. It's Billy Big Balls, because this is something else. Like, to do this and have the confidence that you're going to do it. And of course, there'll be favors called in, and personnel that we can expect to see. Can they sell it out is the question. It's a big ask. They will remove like one side of the arena to do like backstage and the stage and stuff like that, but at the same time part of the pitch will become floor seats and stuff like that. So yeah, it's something really special, and I'm proper looking forward to it. And Dynamite does well on British TV now. There is no direct competition in terms of WWE. You've got to pay for it from BT Sport to watch it. But Dynamite easily gets anywhere between like 100 and 150,000 people watching it on a Friday night or something on ITV for
on
free.
A random 4.
So, and it's not to say those 100 to 150,000 people are all going to buy tickets and come down, but the potential for this to be sold out is there. Like, if they stick on and Osprey versus Omega there, like, you see what I mean? There's the potential there that some of the matches can really pull wrestling fans in from all corners of Europe, let alone just the UK. And then of course there will be the American diehards that make the journey as well to say that they were there for this first ever AEW All In. So yeah, man, I can't fault Tony Khan on this one. I think he's bought some credit in the bank from me. In fact, I might not even call his name for the next month or two. I just let him do his thing.
I can't lie. You see, like, I saw bare people, and I saw bare people who, like, from the States or from abroad, or like, oh, I'm at flying for this show, because again, this is something to be a part of. And yeah, like the card as well. Like, like one thing, good or bad, we can rely on is Tony Khan. When it comes to pay-per-view times, he puts on the card that people want to see. But this, he has to go, like, he has to call in favors, like, hey, Gato, call me. Hey, Andy Corden, Rev Pro, I need some of you guys. I think like this has like this. Obviously, I expect to see AEW stars at the forefront, but don't be surprised if you see collaborative efforts here and there, because listen, when you're dealing with minimum like 40,000 plus people, you need every little helps. Every little, if you can get 100 people that only watch an indie show in Newcastle to come, bring a star from there, just everything, stack that card, stack it top to bottom. And the press, like, because you in fact, you did some of the press for Clash of the Castle, and you remember like just how packed it was, and the vibe and the energy, and that was in bloody Cardiff. This is London, the capital of like England, and where we live. Like, it's gonna be just leading up. Like, I know the press is gonna be crazy. I know that we're gonna see these stars on like local TV shows or whatever, and the energy is gonna be there, man. It's gonna be a crazy feeling just to walk up to Wembley Stadium. And boy,
Clash of the Castle, like you mentioned, it was 60,000 people that sold out in a day, or maybe even sold out on pre-sale. And of course, it's always selling out. Whether all those seats are actually filled on the day is another question. But WWE claimed over the past weekend there was 80,000 on one night of WrestleMania, 80,000 on the other, or 81,000 or whatever. We have to wait till some independent numbers come out, because we know WWE like to over exaggerate. Like, that's exactly. So yeah, it's just a case of what can AEW do. I think if they reach anything in the realm of 50,000 plus, like, they're onto something. And I've been saying, this is where they should be aiming, because this is how big they are. Like, especially like we're saying, somewhere that is open to work with others, and it's not just a closed off show. My only thing I'll bring up, which I believe is still penned in the calendar, is All Out, which is, if I'm correct in saying, is the following week.
Week after, yep. Match
The
been
week
confirmed.
after.
Yeah.
So how do you like? I don't want a big house show. Like that's one thing I definitely don't want. I don't want this to be like a glorified house show. Um, I'm thinking maybe some type of all in, all out. So it's like a part 1 or part 2, almost like how Wrestle Kingdom when they were doing the 2-night shows. It's like all in would set up all out, but then it's funny because all in is actually going to be bigger than all out just by size. You see what I mean?
By size, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how they get around that 2-night, or I say 2-night, but 2 pay-per-views a week apart.
Yeah.
Like, what have you any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was thinking about, because it's like, also like, obviously, like we will be there, like we will be at all in. So like in terms of paying for pay-per-views, like we won't have to pay for like the first one. But like, I'm thinking about the international fans. Imagine paying like $50 twice in the span of like a week for like 2 different for like a pay-per-view in it. But yeah, I have no idea what the build would look like, because even like, okay, so like the Dynamite scene up to All In, are you building to All In and All Out? Is Dynamite going to be the All In show? Rampage going to be like, what happens there? It's I don't know. But one thing I will say is that I'll give Tony Khan the benefit of the doubt and see what the reasoning is behind it. Because if it's a thing where, cool, some of the matches in All In set up All Out or whatever, then fine. But I feel like All In is the priority. Has to be. It's not, again, you don't book out you don't book out Wembley Stadium to do WWE in your house show. Like like you don't do that, innit? If the Chicago man that should be worried about All Out. But we'll have to see. There's at least 2 pay-per-views before we even entertain All In. So maybe we'll get a bit more clarification of how things work. Maybe dates will get pushed back or whatever. But yeah, that's the one thing where it's like eyebrow raise, where it's like, okay, what about All Out? And especially from the reports when it comes to All Out, they're moving All Out permanently to the United Center, which is about 20,000, which is a big arena that they usually do. So we'll see, man. But listen, I want to see UK representation on that card. Bring Osprey, bring Zack Sabre Jr., bring Michael Oku. I watched the Jericho podcast. Jericho, be a man of your word. Bring our boy to the stage. Be a man of your word. Maybe even tag match, Inner Circle, honorary member. I don't know. JS honorary member. I don't know. But yeah, man, bring all the man them. And AEW, if you want to do press passes, your emails are in the description. Cool.
We made some good links when we were out there. So hopefully, it's time to start talking with people. Networking, that's what it's all about.
That's right.
Yeah, but like I say, Tony Khan, that is my MVP of the week. NK, we'll go over to you. Who have you got?
Do you know what? I'll do an honorary mention. MJF is my honorable mention. Segment, just multifaceted. Great. My MVP of the night. Listen, when I heard FTR come out, I was like, cool. When the lights came down and Dynamite, and I heard many men, I said, what are we doing here? The Gun Club coming out to many men. Listen, that right there, I never expected it. Listen, listen, Del Boy is probably the person who's championed the Gun Club the most on wrestling. So Del Boy probably feels vindicated right now. But me, I wasn't a fan. I still refer to them as the arse boys for time. I wasn't rating it. But you know what? During, like, even before the entrance, like over the coming weeks, they've come into their own. On the mic, they're really good. In the ring, they're decent. I'm not gonna see, even the match itself, I'm not gonna sit here and say the match was amazing or great. Probably my least favorite match of the night, if I'm being honest. But when we talk about presence and just making you feel something, just because of that many men entrance alone, I said, you know what? If they win, short-sighted booking, I hear it. Obviously, FTR are the long-term team, and when they won, it was like, it makes sense. But when wrestling makes you turn your brain off and just fantasy book for those 5 seconds, that's what that Gun Club entrance did. And again, Tony Khan, this is you investing, because I know many men wasn't cheap. That song wasn't cheap. And it's not going to come back again. That's the first and the last time we're hearing it. But for that one time, and it for them being, I think that's their first ever Dynamite main event as well.
Yeah.
Listen, that right there, like the show was like already an 8 out of 10. I said, you're from 10 out of 10 because that's a moment people will be talking about, and people are talking about like the reception for that moment alone. People are like, oh right, the Gun Club did what? That's crazy. And yeah, man, that was just pure gas.
Yeah, for the split second, I was thinking, for him to invest in that tune, are they retaining? Are they, is this to really kind of cement them somewhat over FTR? Obviously, there's the stipulation of FTR. If they were to lose, they leave. With that being said, they're now champions. Do you think this was just to kind of preserve them in the company, so to speak? Do you think that we're going to see the Guns as champions maybe again in the next 2 to 4 weeks?
Maybe not anytime soon, but I feel like this was more so a statement of intent that, listen, I rate these guys. These guys, I put the tag team titles on them, and you know what? I'm gonna give them, their title reign hasn't been long, so I'm gonna give them something to remember them by. Because let's be honest, the reign, we're not gonna remember the reign. The reign was very short, and they faced guys that weren't really prominent in the division. But and then sometimes we talk about in wrestling moments. This is their moment that we will always look back at. If the Gun Club do nothing else in their careers, which they probably will do a lot of things, we'll remember this. We'll remember this, and we'll be like, you know what? The Gun Club popped me. So I feel like it was just one of those things like, listen, I'm gonna give you lot this, so to show you guys that have plans for these guys in the future, take this moment for now, and then when these guys come back later, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah. No, I hear it. The Guns they are good entertainment in my opinion. They were someone that at first I was just like, okay, but I've grown to love them. But FTR back on top. I think that kind of gives the tag team division a boost because the trios division has almost stole the limelight of recent times. And obviously we got a great match from House of Black this past week as well. Just to go through some of the guys in the comments, big up everyone live commenting right now. Hit the like button if you haven't. Elijah says Hater as his MVP of the week. Big up Delboy. Delboy says Jamie Hater or MJF. So we're all in the same kind of ballpark. But let's move on to the next segment where we are discussing the best segment of the night. Again, a lot of contenders this week, in my opinion. I went first with the last one. So, NK, do you want to start with this one?
Yeah. I mentioned them, Maxwell, Jacob, Friedman, MJF Day. Oh, my, that boy was cooking. Listen, but I never want to hear one-dimensional again. We're doing maths. We're doing 3-dimensional objects here. You get me? Hectagon. Like we're doing pyramids here. 3-dimensional. Listen, when MJF and I love the little thing that MJF has in Long Island. Like everywhere else, he's a heel. He's the most. But in Long Island, you could put like some of the most. You could put Kenny Omega. You could put John Moxley. You could put some of the biggest baby faces in AEW in Long Island. If they're in the ring with MJF, they're getting booed. MJF he just runs Long Island, New York. So I love that. This guy came out in a tuxedo, fresh and clean, and this guy came out singing. And obviously, this reminded me of the Dinner Debonair they did, obviously back in the pandemic.
Him and Jericho.
But it was so long ago, and that wasn't in front of a crowd either. That was the pandemic era. So him coming out singing in front of the live audience, just like the segment was so campy, but it was so entertaining. And it's like, do you know what I've liked so far? And obviously, we've still got a while to build to Double or Nothing, so we could fall into the MJF face 10 people before you touch me pattern. But we haven't gotten that yet. Right now, everyone's doing their own thing. Like they're building towards whatever, whether it's a fatal 4-way or one person from the four. We're basically building the 4 pillars storyline. But I like the fact that MJF is just doing his own thing and he's captivating on his own. And I like the fact that MJF for a while was kind of relying on the same old routine. And the routine was working, but it was like, okay, cuss out the crowd, cut a shoot-ish style promo, say something edgy, and do the labors of MJF before you face me for the championship. But right now, it's just like, MJF is just having fun. Like, he had the MJF bar mitzvah thing that was going on, and obviously MJF Day right now. This is just like so refreshing and entertaining. And yeah, man, MJF killed it in that segment. Absolutely, just he had my attention from like that. And me, I'm somebody where these type of long-winded segments can get on my nerves, but I was thoroughly entertained, man. So that's definitely my segment of the night for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it's almost like a bit of growth and development with him, where at first in AEW, everyone was like, oh, he's just those that didn't like him, let me say, was just, oh, you know, he just swears and cusses people. That's all he's got to him. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's forced to wrestle. And then we can see, wait, this guy can actually wrestle. And then he's done it with some of the best of them. He's done it with some people that are more technically sound than others. He's done it with people that we may say are lesser wrestlers, but he's put on a good thing. And it's just like you said, you know, multifaceted, multi-sided. It's like every month or so, we then develop another side of this shape of MJF. And yeah, he's what's really working for me right now is that we haven't got into that pattern, like you're saying, of okay, you have to do this, that, and the other to get a match with me. He's minding his own business. The bar mitzvah, he was minding his own business. These men all came out to make noise and challenge him. This one was, he was celebrating, you know, being given the keys to where he's from, and again, Jungle Boy was there. He did take jabs at Jungle Boy during the promo, but Jungle Boy was there, and then obviously they intertwined that with Sammy Guevara coming out for his match, his segment. Right now, MJF doesn't want anything to do with any of these men. He's just minding his business, and these lot are knocking on his door. So the dynamic is very different to what we've previously got with MJF feuds. So I'm definitely enjoying it. Him going back to Jungle Boy, not knowing it was Jungle Boy, and after Jungle Boy, you know, hit the tambourines or whatever it was out of time, and he goes, that we've been practicing this for months. It made me laugh because when he came out to start the singing and all that, he almost done it as if, oh, you know, there's a mic here, I know the song, let me just do this sort of thing, like it was off the cuff. Little do we know, he's saying to Jungle Boy, oh, we've been practicing this for months, we've been planning this, like why are you messing it up? So again, it's the comedic timing and all of that. The story getting at his teacher is just something I'm sure everyone has wanted to do. You know, once they reach some level of success, get at the teacher that hated you the most. You know, call in his teacher, or just don't be a stupid bitch. Like after all that long rant he done, the moral of the story: don't be a stupid bitch. Like,
do you know what that reminded me of? Reminded me of Rock and Mick Foley, like the whole "This Is Your Life" segment.
This is your life.
Like, yeah, it reminded me of that.
Yeah. No, this was very, very good. I mean, by the time this guy is all, you know, said and done, the catalog of promo and these segments he's gonna have is just gonna be insane. Like he's super talented, man, and yeah, he's doing some really good work right now.
He deserves it, man. He deserves it.
Yeah, he definitely does. Of course, it goes without saying that my segment of the week was also going to be this. I prepared a backup though. The Blackpool Combat Club. Listen, the Blackpool Combat Club, they flogged some jabronis after the match. You know, some jobbers that they had. And again, it was just the humor of Bryan Danielson on the mic whilst these other men were getting flogged and almost prompting the flogging. Like, oh, I love Mox and what Mox does. And then Mox was like, get his digs in on the guy. I love Claudio, and like, he'll do the same. I love Utah, even though he's a shithead. I love Utah. And he's just banging it. Like, I just thought it was absolute brilliant, the way it was done. And we're getting back to the roots, the violence of these guys. And, you know, the heel turn, I don't know whether it's a heel turn, but I don't know whether it will really be seen as a heel turn by fans just because we love these guys so much. But they're trying, they're doing what is required by heels, so we have to call them heels. And then, you know, him saying a bit more in detail his promo. He was talking about after seeing what I saw this weekend, which I'm sure he's talking about WrestleMania. He goes, "We're the only professional wrestlers in the world. We're the best professional wrestlers in the world. The rest of you are amateurs. The EVPs are hiring amateurs." Obviously, Hangman comes out. Hangman just walked into the Lion's Den and just got beaten up by everyone. Hangman got called an amateur. This is someone that, you know, has held the AEW World title. It said he's got no friends, which I thought was, again, another very much a prompting line that we're going to remember in this feud, that Hangman's got no friends at all. No one loves you, Hangman, and all of that kind of stuff. And then we saw, you know, he pulled out his screwdriver because he's been teaching these little girls how to fix things at home, and AEW needs fixing. So he pulls out his screwdriver and nanks man in the eye with it. And yeah, that was something. So I'm expecting obviously an eye patch from Hangman or something. But one by one, they're taking out the Elite. They're taking out those affiliated with the Elite. The BCC are back on top, and I'm enjoying it.
Nah, for sure. This is exactly what the BCC needed. Obviously, I'm someone who's always like the BCC. That's where the infamous pour it came from. It came from Blackpool Black Club, innit? So I'm always gonna have an affinity to them. But even I'd admit, it got a bit aimless, especially after Regal left. It was kind of like, okay, what do we do now? And then Danielson was off doing those. The period building to Revolution was weird because like Danielson was fighting MJF, but then the rest of these men were just doing nothing. I mean, John Moxley was fighting Hangman, and then Ryuta and Claudio were just like, we're just here in it. But I feel like them coming back and almost rebrand, it's not even rebrand, they're just double downing on the aggression, where it's like, before it was like palatable aggression, now it's like, no, we're smoking everyone, like, just, and we're coming for your favorites. Just this, this fresh set of paint for them has been so needed, and I'm loving it, man. And I'm loving this, you know, Elite Blackpool Combat Club storyline. You know, things are always good with the Elite in the picture, and then it feels like two great factions just going at it. And Danielson, man, like we talk about like how good he is as a wrestler, but this guy's character work, man, we saw it in WWE. We'll see even in AEW the way he can flip it on, and he can go from like being the most likable guy in AEW to, we saw it with Hangman, he flipped the script and became a heel. Then he did the whole Blackpool Combat stuff, I'm gonna kick everyone's head in, and everyone loves him again. But he's just, the way he's able to just subtly evolve his character, and it's not in the way that someone like Jericho does it, where it's complete reinvention. It's more so just minor pivots here and there, but these minor pivots completely change how we perceive him. It's just that Danielson is like, he's one of the greatest, but not just in ring, which we all know him for, but just as like overall, he just understands professional wrestling, like character work. That Danielson is a tremendous, man. Tremendous.
He is a terrific professional wrestler. Like, just in terms of, again, ticking those boxes. Can he do this? Can he do that? Can he do this? Can he do that? He's so well-rounded again. And of course, he's been out here a long time. He's seen a lot of stuff. He's been to a lot of places, that which all helps. But yeah, this was really good. Again, I'm gonna pick on my man's Claudio. I just, bring me a bit more violence. Like, even Yuta is very believable, but I just feel like Claudio's still. Like,
I believe him a bit more.
I do believe him a bit more. I can't say I don't, but I feel like when I see these segments now, my eye can't help but catch what he's doing. Like, for instance, what I caught, I can't remember, I think it's when they're beating up Hangman. Claudio got out the ring, and I think Dr. Sampson, the medic, tried to come in the ring to kind of help Hangman, and Claudio was just standing in front of him, like blocking his vision, like literally moving from side to side. I'm like, at least push him and scare him off or something. Like, maybe I'm nitpicking, but I just need more from Claudio, because I'm not really believing it.
I just don't think he's built like that, innit? Like, I just don't think, like, but I feel like, I don't know, he's justified his role in the group as being like the strong man, innit? Like, you know, the big, So, but yeah, I do like, he's never gonna have the intensity that Moxley, Danielson, and now even Yuta's picked up. He's never gonna be that. But I feel like, you know what, for Claudio, he's shown more aggression than I've seen previously. So by his standards, it's like cool. But he's not gonna be them man in it. He's not gonna be them man. He's just not. Like he's like, you know, in the group of man them, you know, there's all guys that are about it, and then there's the one guy. He's like,
he's just rolling with the man them.
He's just rolling with the man them. Like he's just part of them, innit? Like he can get busy, but he's not the same as these lot. But you just accept him as a part of the group. He's always one on, one out.
Claudio's the Donny that says, "Oh, you man, I lie, man. No, that's enough, man."
Yeah, he's I lie, man. Like the man that we're riding out, he's like, he's asking what for. He's asking what for.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Oh man, yeah. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on him. Maybe like you're saying, we can't ever expect that level from him. They were saying in the chat, unless he's got Chris Hero next to him, then he might not be on Baz. But listen, it was a good segment. Like I said, I still say it comes second, like you say, to MJF's segment, because that segment is a world-class segment. But we're gonna move on to worst segments. Dell's put in the chat, Sammy's promo was poo. You guys in the chat, start writing in the chat what you thought the worst segment of the show is. I don't think, again, that there was many on this particular show. Like this was a very good show from top to bottom. However, I have a controversial take when it comes to my worst segment of the night. And I'm gonna go with the debut of Jay White, or re-debut if you want to call it that. It came from the opening segment of Ricky Starks coming to the ring, Juice Robinson, but it was Jay White's music that hit. So Jay White's music hits. Everyone, you know that's Jay White's music. The commentators are doing the usual stick of, oh, is it? Can it be? And all that kind of stuff. Juice Robinson attacks. Then Jay White comes out. They lay out Ricky Starks more or less. You know, they do, I guess, some new shape 2023 plate Bullet Club signal with each other. Yeah. And I just felt like okay. Like, and maybe this is me knowing Jay White and where he's come from and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, the accolades this guy has to his name. Why did you debut him here? Like, yes, Juice Robinson is Bullet Club and all of that kind of stuff. Debuting him against Ricky Starks when maybe a Juice Robinson feud is finished, I don't think is necessarily a problem. But the way this kind of all went down, I was just a bit like perplexed as to, okay, his music hit, then Juice Robinson came out, and then he came out, and then Ricky Starks actually got the best of both of them before they got him back. I'm just not quite sure if this is how I would have done it. And what do you think?
100% agree. And I think his debut wasn't planned for today. But I think it was one of those, do you know what? We have him here. I want to make us. Because no, Mekz, the show didn't marinate. It was like, you know, the AEW started, it's Wednesday, you know what that is? Juice making his entrance, Drake starts making his entrance, and then ding. I'm like, already? And even the camera wasn't even prepared, because when the music hit, the camera wasn't facing the ramp, it was facing the ring. And then when they showed the replay, they showed Jay White running down. I think this was, maybe it's my conspiracy theory, I don't know, but I think this was just a thing of like, okay, do you know what, I want to be paid, I want to put on a good show today. I didn't plan this. And also, I don't know when Jay White signed his contract or when not. Maybe he was always destined for an AEW, or maybe it was a last minute transfer because he saw what was going on over there and said, "Nah, I'm going AEW." But whatever. I do think Tony Khan sending out Jay White wasn't intended for that. I feel like it was just a spur of the moment decision where it was like, throw him out. And again, that affected his debut, because it didn't feel, when AEW do debuts, we've seen the likes of Adam Cole debut, even Jay White's first appearance on Dynamite, where he comes in with the jacket. It seems very meticulous and planned and on. And the way AEW have presented Jay White in the past isn't the way they presented him now, where he's like, he looks like Juice Robinson's lackey. And it's like, yeah, so I totally understand why that's probably like the worst segment, because it was like, it just felt chaotic. It didn't feel, and it didn't feel chaotic in a good way where, oh shit, who's this guy? It just felt chaotic. It's like, nah, this ain't, I know, and I have faith in Jay White and AEW, but this is not how I pictured Jay White coming in AEW. I expected dim lights, then you hear the music, settings, but it's just also like, he's just running out, and it's like, rah.
I feel like they would have even been better off letting Juice and Ricky have some kind of match, and then maybe Juice gets the win by a Jay White interference or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whether they thought, okay, because our fans have seen him here before, we don't need to do anything too big or too special. Maybe there's a bit of that. But this is someone that within the next matter of weeks when he's on TV, you lot are going to call an IWGP champion, a former US champion in Japan. Like, you're going to ring off his accolades. And then I'm going to think, like, so why is man in the segments with Juice Robinson? And Juice Robinson hasn't been given much of anything since he's been in AEW. This is probably his most prominent feud, this one with Ricky Starks, since he's joined. So yeah, I just feel like you said, how he was previously debuted and now is a stark difference. This guy, correct me if I'm wrong, he main evented Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
In that 4-way match. Like, I don't know.
No. Moxie and Tana main event in Forbidden Door. He was the second.
Oh, but okay, yeah. So he was in the IWGP heavyweight match. Yeah, in the 4-way. Yeah, it just thank God the rest of the show obviously turned out to be as great as it did with the announcements and stuff we saw, because this just had me puzzled as a start to the show and where they'd done this. So for me, this was the worst segment of the show. What about yours?
Worst segment of the show. To be fair, there weren't that many segments, but I have to say, like, the Outcasts backstage promo, it was very short. It was very much ado about nothing. I'm like, do you know what it is? There's one person that I'm just not rating. Sorry, Saraya, it's you. Like, I'm sorry. Like, do you know? Because if you were to tell me, okay, Ruby Soho versus Jamie Hayter, cool. Tony Storm, cool. And Saraya's she's been all right in AEW. Like, she's been featured prominently. I don't even think it's a positioning issue where it's like, because we see a lot of guys in AEW, there's been enough time to where we can accurately say AEW doesn't do right by a portion of guys. Like, there's guys that come in and we say, okay, the booking hasn't served them. With Saraya, it's like, no, she's been prominently featured, and even this Outcast things conceptually should work. And it works for me. When Ruby Soho turned, I bought into that. Tony Storm being a part of it, I bought into it. But Saraya kind of being the glue that holds it together, I want to replace her. I want to replace her with like Naomi or somebody. Like, I'm a huge fan of Paige and Saraya, but it's a thing where I don't know what's for her at the moment. Her as a babyface wasn't working, and that's, maybe you could probably blame that on the material that she was given in terms of like the constant bashing of WWE and so on and so forth. But then now as a heel, it's like you just come across as like you come across as a faction on Mean Girls. Like it don't feel like a. I don't believe you. I believe Tony because I've seen it. I believe Ruby because I've seen it, but I don't believe. Sorry, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Yeah,
So
I definitely hear. I definitely hear what you're saying. Like, when I watched that segment, I can see in Ruby that Ruby's almost got a new lease of life within this, and yeah, maybe again, like you're saying, it's more believable with Ruby. Even Tony Storm just seems like she's playing the part well of like, I'm fed up of Jamie Hayter sort of thing. But I don't know with Saraya, do we call it ring rust? Do we call it mic rust? Like, it's just not clicking. What she's saying is just not quite believable. Like, there's I can't even put my finger in it, probably like yourself, but there's just something that's missing here. Like, it's nothing is overly bad, but nothing is as good as I'm sure AEW would have wanted it from someone that has the experience, you know, that Saraya has. Like, she's not showing it right now. I will reserve my judgment because I know this is how a lot of us felt when Athena joined AEW, and now she's flying, in my opinion. So
Cool.
I will reserve my judgment, but yeah, if I had to almost single out why this outcast thing didn't work, I'm probably putting it more on Saraya more than anyone else.
And remove the green spray paint, because what are you spraying? Like, remove that spray paint. I hate it because they're not. My thing is, if you're gonna spray paint, just spray paint the ring and do OC. Why are you like spray painting bodies? I can't read out what you're spray painting. The green spray painting needs to allow itself. Like, remove that. Just beat up women. Just beat up the roster. Beat up JB Hater, and then that's it, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Do you think Jamie's next challenger is gonna come from one of these three? And
it's gonna be Saraya, I think. Because I think
what's the next pay-per-view?
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing.
Because they haven't lined up the thing with this storyline is that what I've kind of been a little disappointed by as well. It's kind of, I thought we were gonna get more people aligning with either side, but right now it just seems like, okay, it's just Ruby, Saraya and Tony versus Britt and Jamie, and everyone else. Like, we have Riho running, but she's running to do. She hasn't said what she wants. Is she for JBA, or is she like? I thought it was going to be a thing that really divides the women's division, but it hasn't turned out to be that way. And then now heading into Double or Nothing, it's like Jamie's faced all of these three women before and beaten them.
Yeah.
So what next? Like, for me, I want to see Tony Storm versus Jamie again, but that's because of match will bang tax. That's just because I know the match will bang, but I've seen that match before. And I guess the one I haven't seen is Saraya, but that's the person I'm least invested in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's a weird spot because like the storyline isn't bad.
Yeah.
It's just not good either. It's in that limbo of like potential. But what's potential if you're not making good on it? Like, it could, like, I'm giving it. It could turn into a good storyline, but what I'm seeing isn't a good storyline. It's just something that's there, inoffensive television.
Yeah, they're keeping the women busy and on our screens, which I think is good in itself. With, you know, again, like what you're calling a half decent storyline. I think this story has been quite up and down. I think there seemed to be a time when they were looking at maybe getting the likes of a Mercedes in, when it looks like they were building each side, and then all of a sudden maybe they realize, okay, we can't get this person, so we have to stop building this sort of thing. Then coming out of, you know, everything that Mercedes was doing over in New Japan, it looked like they were kind of warming this up again. They've now named these lot as the outcasts, but like you're saying, there's no more recruitment. People had touted this to go towards what's that thing called? The cell matches. Blood and guts. But now it looks like maybe the men have taken over that position with what's developing between BCC and the Elite and stuff like that. So maybe that's going to be the blood and guts match rather than the women and stuff. So a few start and stops between the storylines and stuff. But yeah, I was going to choose Outcasts for my segment, my worst segment of the week as well. But because I thought, hold on, the problem is actually Saraya and not so much the other two.
Yeah.
I thought, let me not choose them. But yeah, I think you're well within your right for that as your choice. Elijah is saying here in the chat they can do a men's blood and guts and a women's one. I guess so. I mean, in the past, some have seen that in WWE programming, that is, some have seen something like that as a bit of overkill on the same show. I think
that's overkill, yeah.
Yeah,
because with the war game stuff, it becomes like I think it's overkill, especially with blood and guts as well. And the blood and guts matches in AEW are long; like they take up at least half of the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2 blood and guts matches back to back. Yikes! Yeah. I can't.
Blood and
And
Guts in
as much as I'm a
AEW.
poor rip merchant, I can't do too much blood like that. I'm
Blood and
seeing
Guts in
8 people
AEW is
bleed
1
in one
hour.
show.
Yeah, it's long. It's true. It's a 1 hour match minimum. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they would book that. And that's not a pay per view for them. They do that on TV, so it will literally be like a woman's Blood and Guts, and then men's. Like I just said, one on Dynamite, one on Rampage. That's a good way around it. It's a good way around it, but I we'll have to see if the women's one, kind of justifies doing a Blood and Guts at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I think is the most important thing. Cool. All right then. We're into our last segment, and this is match of the night. I wouldn't say anything that reached the status of Banger Badizio came from this, but there was a lot in what I would say the next echelon down, or quite a few in the next echelon down. So NK, we'll start with you. What was your match of the night?
We're gonna stick with the women. We're gonna stick with the champ, Jamie Hayter versus Riho. Listen, Jamie has been. Listen, her match, the volume of matches has slowed down, but the quality remains.
Yeah.
When we listen, Jamie Hayter is. I'm so sorry. Like, she's the best wrestler in that division. Like, just like we talk about in ring. We talk about in ring. Like, we could even total package wise. Like she looks like a star. Just her music, the way she walks down to the ring. She has that little bounce in her, and it, bruv, and then the fur coat. But then, just as a wrestler, she's too cold. Like when I was watching the match, and I was like, and obviously Riho's somebody that I rate highly as well. Obviously Riho, she hasn't been on TV a lot, but I think that's because I think she lives in Japan, or something like that. It's got something to do with travel. It's like a pack situation, from what I'm hearing about Riho in it. So we don't get to see her as often. But Riho is somebody, like, despite her size, like she can wrestle with the best of them. And again, this is just another great title defense for Jamie Hayter. Like the match, like, I wouldn't say like the match reached like all-time best AEW women's matches or anything like that, but like for a match I got on TV, I would say this is a pay-per-view quality match. If I saw this match on a pay-per-view, I'd be satisfied. But Jamie Hayter is she's something special, man. And when this title reign is said and done, I feel like she's had the most consistent title reign in regards to. I think the gold standard for AEW Women's title reign was Hikaru Shida, but again, I feel that's kind of hurt by
time almost.
Yeah, it feels like a different time. And it was hurt by being exclusively to the pandemic, so we couldn't see these matches. We couldn't see how the crowd was reacting to her. She never got that opportunity. But Jamie Hayter is providing arguably the same quality of matches, but then she's got that aura to her as well. She's got that charisma that Hikaru Shida doesn't. And she's somebody I just want to root for. And she's got that star power to her. So I just feel like if Jamie Hayter continues like this, then boy, like, listen, I can't wait. Flash forward, I can't wait for tier rankings at the end of the year. If Jamie Hayter continues like this, then conversations will be had. But we've got many months to go before then. But yeah, match of the night, Riho and Jamie Hayter for sure.
2023 tier rankings for women, in my opinion, she's already an S. It's how things kind of go downhill from here. God forbid they do, but or if they like end her reign tomorrow and all of a sudden it's not the kind of long reign we expected. That's the only way she doesn't end up in S. For me, like, and I rarely be caught doing star ratings if I'm not asked to, but I haven't seen her kind of give us anything less than a 4, like in terms of
match for sure.
And this is on TV. Like this is almost quote unquote throwaway. Like, in the next couple of weeks when she has another TV match, singles match, defending her title, maybe we'll be saying, that's a great match as well. And she's very, very good, man. Like, just someone that they can be confident in to deliver in ring, on the mic, characters there, like you said. She's involved, I guess, defending her title in this instance, and she's involved in this wider outcasts and originals picture and stuff as well. And that's my only thing where when they started getting her involved with that story, I was like, just don't forget she's the AEW world champion, women's world champion. Like, let's not involve her too much in this other stuff. Remember, she's the women's champion. So yeah, she's been absolutely fantastic. She is this match, her and Riho. This is my match of the week as well. I don't have a backup for this one because this is the true answer. Just on Riho's been fantastic as well. They've done what they do best. You know, when they're going to give someone a world title, obviously they don't use the rankings anymore. When they're going to give someone a world title, they start giving them wins and start kind of heating them up. And Riho's won, I think, 5 matches this year or so like that. Not as often on TV as, you know, we once saw her, but you know, 5 wins. We know how good Riho is anyway. And then she's reached Jamie Hayter. Been unfortunate on the day, but you know, it takes 2 to tango, and she's been a great opponent for Jamie Hayter as well. Elijah has said here, Hayter versus Baker at All In. So I've heard this today as well. In terms of size of match, this is probably the biggest match for the company that they can put on for the women. The temptation, which right now I'm not too into, would be to do something like Hayter versus Saraya at All In. Two British women, 2 English women. There's also a possibility we could see something like Hayter dropping the title before then to maybe win it back at All In. So you know, we get a nice kind of crowd pop from there. What do you think that match at All In should be, providing maybe, you know, she is still champion or in and around the scene by then?
I think obviously we know Britt Baker's injured. I think she's got a back injury right now, and I feel like a Britt Baker heel turn is coming. I feel like the divorce between Hayter and Baker will happen. Like, they will separate from each other, and I think it'll be very good. Because you know what, I miss Britt. And when Hayter first won the title, I was worried that it would still be the Britt Baker show.
Yep.
But I've been very happily proven wrong, where Hayter's been given the time to shine, and she's the focus right now. She's the focus of even this outcast thing. They don't really care about Britt. They want Hayter. But I feel like, you know, I want to see Britt back in a prominent position. And a Britt versus Jamie Hayter feud, I think you've got the story, like you've got an inbuilt storyline right there that fans will easily gravitate to because they've been together for so long. I think the match will be of a good quality. It may not be like the best match Jamie Hayter's had, but it will be like of a good quality where it could be like, okay, cool, we can rely on this. And these are 2 big names. I feel like no one else fulfills that criteria. Saraya fulfills the big name criteria and maybe storyline, but do the fans care about it? Not really. Tony Storm will fulfill the great match quota, but storyline, one, we've been there, done that before, and storyline, it's not that rich. I feel like Britt Baker versus Jamie Hayter ticks all 3 boxes where it will sell tickets for AEW fans. It will be a great match and it will have a good payoff. Obviously Forbidden Door's coming up, so that's why we'll probably get like a crossover between them and the Stardom people, hopefully, wishful thinking. But hey man, I feel like Tony Khan for this show, if you're doing All In, Trinity's a free agent. She said she's not coming back. I don't know what the Bailey situation is over there, WWE, but there's murmurings. So, you know, I don't know. I doubt her contract's up anytime soon. But, you know, if it is, just hypothetically speaking, if Bailey's contract is like up in summer, if I'm Tony Khan, I'm taking this telephone right now and I'm saying I'm making an executive decision. I'm breaking the bank. I'm breaking the bank because I feel like those like Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, Trinity now, and then Bailey. I don't know what she'll go by later, but if you could get those 3 into the AEW women's division, though, that's like to me, that's like the all out moment where we had Adam Cole. That's what it means to that division. It completely reformats the entire division, because now you have top to bottom, not only top to bottom, but like you have at least 4 to 5 people that could easily be champions up and down that card, and it rotates everything. But that's me getting ahead of myself and thinking into the future based on what they have. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, that's like we said, it's the current biggest match you could do, really, in terms of just characters on the show. Bayley is a great shout. Well back in the day, her indie name was Davina Rose, but the Bayley name is so strong now that they might just attach a surname, might be Bayley Rose or something like that. That she's known by. We know the reception Bayley gets in the UK as well. Like, segments have been cut because of Bayley chants and stuff like that in the past, anytime WWE come in. So yeah, like you said, that would be a terrific
NXT TakeOver London. I remember that the whole Bayley charts.
They hijacked the thing.
They hijacked it.
They hijack it completely. So yeah, getting Bayley alone would be fantastic, let alone putting her in the ring with Hayter. Bayley had 2 matches consecutively. Was it earlier this year or late last year with Bianca Belair? Fantastic. Obviously Bayley came back in at SummerSlam, and since then she has done much of anything. But these 2 matches, I said Bayley's one of the best out here. Like, she's literally one of the best women that are wrestling today on TV. And yeah, she would be a really good get. But yeah, Britt Baker is the obvious one once she's back, and she can come with something like, I've been biding my time, I've been using you to get around whilst I've been injured, now I'm back, I kind of striking and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, man, it could be really good. Yeah, those are our matches of the night. Mine, like I said, is the same. One last thing I'll just say before we wrap up the show today, obviously going back to this theme of this UK show, the other, a name that has been said to be unsettled in WWE and not renewing their contract, Drew McIntyre. Now, I think it's been confirmed today that his contract is up this year, but it would not be before All In. However, if it was, would you be interested in seeing Drew McIntyre in AEW? We can necessarily forget about All In, because if he was there, for sure they would put him on the show. He basically, was the draw for the Cardiff show that WWE done. But would you be interested in having him in AEW at the moment at all?
It's a difficult one. Drew McIntyre, I thought, does he fit in? Yes, he does. If you look at his days and Impact and him touring the indies, he's somebody who's familiar. He's not somebody, obviously he's WWE born and bred in terms of like Vince. He was like the protocol son for Vince, but he's had experience outside of WWE, so I don't think he'd be unsettled in a more free-flowing, do your own thing environment like AEW.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot. They've got a lot right now. Like, even with Jay White, like we're thinking it's a lot. Even Adam Cole, where we could see Tony Khan loves Adam Cole. Like, we can see it. But because there's a lot going on, there's not space for him to do anything right now. Like, we know Adam Cole is going to do something in the future. You add Drew McIntyre and the list of people we're waiting on gets longer. And it's like, and then also, if you want to push Drew McIntyre, and then if Drew McIntyre comes and you push him all the way to the top, we know there's civil unrest with AEW guys and XWW guys anyway. Do you want to, and I'm not saying Drew's a bad character, I'm just saying there's a lot of people in AEW waiting for their turn.
Yeah.
You're adding another person to that list who very much people are going to ask, where's Drew McIntyre's push when he comes? Because, you know what I'm saying, he's won the Royal Rumble, he's main event at WrestleMania. Yes, it was a pandemic WrestleMania, but he was the focus of bloody Clash at the Castle, one of the biggest international shows they've ever done. So he's somebody that warrants preferential treatment. He warrants push this guy up the card immediately.
Yeah.
But then you've got a whole bunch of people you still need to attend to. So I would say Tony hold off. Just hold, like, it's weird because Drew is considered one of those signings you can't ignore, but then AEW have made too many I can't ignore you signings. And I get it. Vince is back in WWE. You know, people aren't happy, but I'm sorry, AEW is not rehabilitation for broken WWE superstars. Like, it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not a rehabilitation home. Like, it's not, oh, I was mistreated by Vince, Tony can't save me.
Yeah.
No, like, we don't have the capacity. Like, we don't have the capacity. We're full. So but Drew, like, it's not because of lack of talent or I don't think he's deserving. I just there's not enough space.
Yeah,
the club is full. You see when the bouncer, hey, 3 in, 1 in, 3 out, 1 in. Like, three people have to go before you come inside. Like, the venue's full.
I hear it. He's definitely someone, in my belief, that commands it. Elijah says no. Elijah says he's the Scottish Claudio. I'm not having that.
I'm not having that.
I'm not having that.
Drew's cold.
Yeah, Drew's cold. But yeah, the list, that top of the card, and even people that are still in the mid card to be developed to reach the top of the card, it's a lot right now. Chocolate Thunder says his contract runs out in January. I mean, January is a different time. We're hearing a lot of AEW current contracts run out January 2024 as well. So, you know, it could work as some of the people, like you just said, some come out, some come in, that kind of situation. But yeah, Drew, I'll definitely say is someone that you can't pass up on if he does become available. Delboy says Drew versus Jay would be mental.
Crazy.
That would be a good feud. It really
crazy. Before we go, one thing I want to ask. Obviously, there was throughout this year, there's been turmoil about, you know, you mentioned contracts coming up soon, the Elite. I think there's, like, obviously not even based on the news that we received on Monday about Vince, but I think I'm more confident in them staying than I've ever been since, because if you notice, post like the brawl out situation and even leading into 2023, they weren't featured much. They were kind of mute. Yeah. They were like, they'd wrestle against the Lucha Bros, but wouldn't cut a promo, weren't featured in any major storylines. But then, like, for the past couple, I mean, this whole Blackpool Combat Club and Elite thing's been going on, which is like one of the biggest storylines they're telling.
Yeah.
Omega's been defending the title frequently. Like, they even if you look at the posters, like they're I noticed and maybe it's me reading into things too much, but I noticed in the All In poster, they were literally front and center.
Front and center. Yeah.
Front and center. Tony Khan literally name dropped. It was like, yeah, Cody, the Bucks, the Elite built this. So my thing is that I don't know if a contract's been signed, but I definitely feel like the waters have been have been settled right now in terms of the Elite leaving, which is good. And also, yes, Vincent coming back has definitely said, you know what? I don't know about that one. Has definitely added a shred of doubt. But yeah, what do you think?
For me, I always thought it was just more than anything a negotiation tool to get a better contract. You know, the whole flirting with WWE. I do think that the Vince stuff would have, you know, if anyone's got a brain inside their head, that's the end of that. Like, I'm staying where I am. I've seen memes online that the likes of Miro asking Tony Khan, "Oh, what have you got for me?" sort of thing. Andrade looking to come back into the fold because, yeah, no one's interested in seeing, going back to WWE because, you know who's back in charge. So I've always thought that the entire Elite thing leaving, as much as I'll still say I want them, man, to have a WrestleMania moment. I want them to feel, you know, coming out to this worldwide crowd, the 70,000 plus people. But hey, we're ultimately going to get that with All In now. You know, that need, like I said, that need, I personally wanted them to be acknowledged on a massive stage. If they do All In correctly, and All In isn't just a house show, isn't just a precursor for another show, but almost becomes this yearly celebration of all elite wrestling on this massive stage, whether it remains in Wembley or they do stadiums in the US as well, then I'm absolutely cool with that, because this is why I wanted AEW, and I wanted them man. I was so invested when them man came to AEW, because I want these men to be seen on US TV for the mainstream.
Yeah,
I wanted them to go to WrestleMania, particularly. I've never said like, anytime I spoke about them going to WWE, I've never said they should go for more than 18 months. Like, it should literally be short term and get out of there. Like, because I just want them to be acknowledged on this massive stage.
On the massive,
if AEW build that massive stage, they don't need to go. That's it. You know, I'll hold my hands up. They don't need to go.
That's always been the thing for me. Even with a lot of guys coming over to WWE, like when AEW was first announced, I didn't know what it was. I wasn't a fan of it, but all I knew is that I want the Omegas and the Bucks to be acknowledged the same way the greats are acknowledged. And obviously, even in AEW's definitely broadened like their fan base, but there's always the guys that only tune in for WrestleMania and see, you know, whoever they see. And I wanted, oh my God, I saw that Kenny Omega guy the other day. He's amazing. I wanted Kenny Omega to be more openly acknowledged in these, okay, great. Kind of what happened to AJ Styles. AJ Styles wrestled in TNA for all of these years. And amongst the hardcore fans, it was like, he's one of the greats. But then when he went WWE and opened himself up to that audience, it was like, eye-opener. Oh my God, this guy. And now, saying like 10 years ago, saying AJ Styles is one of the greatest of all time, people be like, who's that guy? What kind of indie wrestling is this, man? Move. But then now, if I say AJ Styles is one of the greatest of all time, it's like, it's a widely accepted conversation. And even though AEW is a platform in which I love and appreciate, a lot of the time when people bring up AEW guys, it'll be like, you're saying that to be different, man. They ain't wrestled in the E yet, which I don't particularly care about. I don't care about whether he wrestled, but I just want to end that conversation. It's kind of like with Messi winning the World Cup. I didn't need him to do it, but once he won the World Cup, the GOAT debate was over. It was done. I just want to end the conversation. That's the only reason why I even entertained him going to WWE. But yeah, if he builds a platform of his own, and then All In becomes what we think it's going to be, then there's nothing more to say.
There's literally nothing more to say. Like that stage is there. They can perform on it. The world will see it. Done. Conversation done. But yeah, I guess we'll end our conversation there as well, guys. This is our first episode of Revolution Radio, so let us know how you liked it. We'll be back every Thursday on the WRESTHINGS channel. We'll have a slight change. It'll be slightly earlier next week, but it'll, other than that, it will be usually around this time that we started today. Make sure you hit your like buttons, your subscribe buttons. If you're listening in the audio world, make sure you leave us a rating and that the WRESTHINGS podcast. NK, any last words we get out of here?
Man, there was another good episode of Dynamite. That's it, man. Good television reigns supreme, fam. Good television.
Let's keep it going.
Uncle H, call Tony for the job, because I know it's techie over there, isn't it?
Yeah, man, it was good, and long may it continue. So we've got a lot of good stuff to talk about right here at Revolution Radio. But yeah, peace out. Hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and we'll catch you in the next one.